Welcome back, guys. Mel here from Mel's Motors. Another Campervan episode. If you missed all the others, links are below. It's Good Friday. It's Easter bank holiday. No distractions, no phone calls, no one else working in the workshop apart from me and my friend Frank, who's standing there. Come here, Frank, come on. He's always here helping me out. We're off to Anglesey next weekend, so I want to try and get this somewhere close to where I can sleep on the bed. Frank has his own business called Kitchen Makeovers, so he's pretty handy with his hands, hence why I like having him over here. But I'm always promoting my business. Frank never gets a say, so tell him about your business, Frank.
Well, we basically do kitchen makeovers. We do specialize in replacing door and drawer fronts, so give your kitchen a nice makeover without the cost of having to replace a whole kitchen. More cost effective and everything. So yeah, if you guys would want to have a look at our things, we can have a look at kitchenmakeovers.co.uk and you'll find the information there. Thank you.
I'll leave the link below. He also did my reception last year, all the flooring, the worktop, the walls, painted the whole lot. So yeah, he's pretty hands-on. So it's not just kitchens he'll do pretty much anything for you. Right, I don't know what we're going to do today. As you know, with this channel, we make plans, nothing goes to plan, we change the plans. So
design and build,
yeah, progress as we progress. Right, guys, stay tuned and we'll move on. So in the last episode, we put these water filling spouts in. So I've got the original panelling that I took off the van, so they're going to be covered in felt. I've just put some paint on there with my paint pen, so we marked when we put the holes in for that. So that'll give us an idea where to drill. I've got an account at Howden's. I've been using them since 2008. They're super helpful. So I've got panels and units and stuff from Howden's. So thank you, Howden's in Bracknell. These are all the panels I saved when I took the van. I stripped the van out. If you ever do one of these, you make sure you keep these. These things are a fortune and they're going to help you panel your van out without having to faff about making templates. So these are original templates from the back door, a little bit damaged, but we can make new ones. That's one of the panels that matches that. The reason I brought those over is because that one's not in great shape. I mean, I've got this one. I can make a template with. It's quite thin. It's probably about 3 mil. These are about 6 mil. So by the time you felt them, they'll become like twice that thickness, 5-6 mil. And I don't want it too bulky on the back anyway. So these panels are going to be felted as well at some point. Until I get insulation in there, we're not going to cover those. The windows are going to be boarded up as well, and then we're going to have blinds in there, so that's going to be a future job. It's definitely going to be this weekend. Those things need to be ordered. We're just going to work on panelling the side up, getting insulation in there. We're going to insulate the floor in here. We're going to do all that legwork before that goes back in. In the last episode I had the mattress on there. That's all been cut up. My mum's a seamstress, so it's over there getting the covers made. I ran out of this felt stuff, which is going to go into this tub where the water tanks are going to be, which is over there. I wanted to line it. I ran out. I've ordered some more. I've just tracked it with Every. I have no idea if they're going to turn up today or not, but according to the tracking details, it says yes. So we need to line that out. So we've got some protection for the tanks, and then that's the hot water tank. So I'll probably line that as well. So it's got double protection on it to keep the water warm when it's warm, and stop them from freezing if the temperature drops as well. So it's like a safety blanket. It's quite thin, and it's got dense rubber on the back, so it should be quite a good fix. Okay, so we're just marking this out. We'll drill the holes, and then all of our stuff's upstairs that we need for the camper. So we've got the insulation up there, and I think the felt's up there as well. So I'll get the felt down. We'll line this up, drill it, and then at least that's ready to go in. Right, so we've drilled the holes, so we're kind of poking out, but we need to get the hose in at an angle, so we need to elongate these now to accommodate the hose. I think we might need to go more than that. I think if I stick it on the edge of the drill bit.
Too much.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. 10 more.
We're not straight. If we do it, that's
You got it.
no, no. There we go, perfect. So we've got the hose now. Should just about be able to get the hose clip. If we tighten it on the top bit, we should be able to hook it through with the least amount of holes possible. So that's worked out perfect. Right, we'll get this felted now. Okay, so we need to get these holes exposed for the clips to go in. If you saw one of my early videos when we were doing the felt on the panels, I just got a piece of bar or a bolt, used my inductor to heat it up and just poked it through the holes. So we're going to do the same this time. So we'll just warm the bar up and then we'll just poke through. Right, we're moving on to insulation. Now this is quite controversial when it comes to insulation. Everyone seems to know best when it comes to that. I've heard so much, watched so many videos, Dodo this one's best, I find this one is better than someone else's. Insulation is important, but there's no way anybody can say one insulation is better than another. because once it's in, you have no idea whether it's doing its job properly or not. Some people like to put it in and put foil back on it like this. Some people go without. I watched a video of an American company when all they did was build camper vans, and they were offering customers natural wool, shredded jeans, this style. Like this actually isn't fiberglass. This is recycled plastic bottles. Now I've chosen this one because it's not itchy. Bought this from B&Q. If you guys are in the UK, you'll know B&Q. It's the only place I could find that did it other than online. But this is what I've chosen to use. And this particular video I watched in America, they had one of the camper vans come back. They stripped it and went, see, there's no damp behind there. And that was in the middle of summer. So unless everybody fits something and then strips it and go, I told you that's it's the best, then it isn't. But it is important to have insulation in there, and I've chosen to use this one. There are experiments you can do with a cold water tank or a pot where you can put ice cubes in it and see the condensation on the outside, and then you can wrap this around one of them and then demonstrate that there's no condensation. But it's made to British standard, so therefore it's going to work. Now, whether it's as good as fiberglass or not, I don't know. I watch a lot of aviation videos, and I've seen aircrafts being stripped, and all they do is use this style or format of insulation. Obviously, it's aviation grade, but when it's minus 65 degrees Celsius outside and ambient inside, there's an 85 degrees of Celsius of temperature differential. But it's important to have. I've chosen to use this. If you want to comment in the bottom what you think about insulation, by all means go ahead. This is what we're using. So all the voids are starting to get filled. We were using the scissors to cut this, and then I went and got a kitchen knife from upstairs, and that wasn't doing any better. And then we found that ripping it by hand was the easiest way. Sometimes the simplest ways are the easiest ways. Okay, part of the insulation's gone in. It's going in quite easy, to be fair. It's quite simple. Right, the little vent in here, we're going to replace that with our power in. You can see I painted the box for power, so that's going to go here. Like I said, I've already got a hole there, so why make another hole on the other side? So I'm going to take the bumper corner off. We'll take the vent out. The hole is bigger than this, so I'll have to make another plate. Use this as a template, cut the hole out, and then from the other side we'll mark the plastic, and then hopefully we'll get that correct and get it lined up. Okay, so I've got a piece of alley plate. I've just guillotined it to the right size. So that's going to go into there, and that's going to bolt onto the side of the van, or rivet. Okay, the mark was too high, so I need to bring that down into this space. Okay, alley plates in, all silicons. I've got new clips to go on these. On these Citroens, they have special clips with these rubber seals on them. They're one-time use. Once you've taken them off, put new clips in. Hole's been cut, so we're going to pop that back on. Okay, so that's going to go in there. I put some 6mm cable on this. It's a bit OTT, but because we're taking power from land, I'd rather have some decent cable on there than some thin stuff. So let's hope it fits. There we go, so it's all neatly done. We've made no more extra holes. I will silicone around that just to keep the moisture and the water out. This is our tail. I've made it extra long. Like I said, our electric's going to be roughly in this area, even possibly on the back of that. I've got the Victron box upstairs, but I don't know how big it is out the box. The box is reasonably big with all the protection in there. So Frank's done all the insulation in here up to there. That cover needs to come off. We'll continue. The plan for the electrics is for it to go through this channeling, up, over, down where all the original electrics are. So this will be behind the wall. Shower's going to go here. So where the shower wall ends here, I'm going to have all the electrics on this wall along with the plumbing for the shower, and then I'm going to build a cavity wall over that, and then we'll have all our like 12-volt wires coming to a fuse panel so we can access from the outside. And then when we've got the tanks in, all of our gauge, all of our info that we get from the Victron system, it'll all be on this outer wall going through the cavity wall. I got an email from Every was supposed to deliver the rest of that stuff today. I knew they wouldn't, although I sent them an email this morning and said, can you make sure we deliver it because we are working. It says attempted delivery at 10:04, and I've been here since 8:30 this morning. So always on a Saturday or delivery. I mean, it's Good Friday today. They're absolutely useless. They will never ever attempt to come down here on a Saturday. So that's messed my day up. They're telling me they're going to deliver it tomorrow Saturday, and they're notorious for not delivering on Saturday, so that's going to be another day wasted. So there's our insulation there. That was one full roll, and all we've done so far is that corner and the cavity, so you can see how quickly that stuff can disappear. Right, what I want to do now is, whilst the seating area's out, is get my water tank from over there, dump it into here, find out where my plumbing is going to go out. So for the heating coil, the heat exchanger, obviously we need feed and return to the diesel heater. So somewhere here I'm going to have to drill some holes, put the pipes through, just drop them through for now. I can worry about plumbing it later. From memory, underneath here I'm pretty sure there's a box section here, so we're going to have to go on the other side of the box section. So the spot wells are there, so I'm guessing we're going to have to go to this sort of area, so we're a good 6 inches away from where that is. It's a bit of a pain really, because I was hoping to have been like closer to the box, but it is what it is. There's a box section for strength, so we're going to have to go somewhere out there. On the underside we'll probably have the heater somewhere. I'll probably make a box for it. I'm not going to cut the floor for a box, but I'll make a box which we can rivet up or screw in, and then it'll sit in there. But as for now, I can't put the tanks in because I've got to take them back out to put the insulation in, but I can put them in, find out where the pipes are going to go out, so we can do that before we obstruct access with that. The panel over there is done for here, so we've got this vent first when you slam the doors so that we can get blowout, which sits right behind here. So I've cut 2 slits in there, again used the hot bar system, just melted through in there. What it does, it does a clean hole and it actually burns the edges so you don't get all that fuzziness coming out. So it's come out quite good. I've still got the original clips for these. I kept them all, they're actually grey as well, which is handy. So they're going to go in there, and to be fair, as you can see, it's clean and it matches. We can still get access to put the Jubilee clips on these hoses. Okay, tanks in. I've made a note on here, put an arrow on there for in and out. This is for the heat exchanger. So this will go to the bottom of the heat exchanger because you want to heat the water from the bottom to the top. So heat rises, so as the water goes in, it will heat the bottom, come to the top, so it's always heating from the bottom up because heat rises. So I just need to figure out whether I'm going to go over and across to get everything neat and tidy to one side, and then decide where I'm going to put the holes. Right, so here we are at the underside. Sorry, it's a bit dark under here. This is our box section we've got to work around, so we need to be somewhere here. And then I'll have the heater, somewhere under here. So I've got a hole here, so it gives me a rough idea. I'm about 2 inches away from that seam line, so we'll be roughly here somewhere. Okay, right, we're going to do the plumbing side of it now. I'm not a plumber, but I've done plenty of plumbing in my life, and I'm pretty confident with what I'm doing. But don't take this as a training exercise for you to do your own plumbing. If you're not sure, seek a professional to get your plumbing done. We're using this white plumbing barrier pipe. Usually when you use white pipe, you use white fittings. I've mixed and matched before, never had an issue. But white with white, grey with grey. So we're going to drill a hole with a hole cutter, slightly bigger than the pipe. We've got these rubber O-rings, grommets, to protect the hose when it goes through the floor. We just did a test cut on that piece of aluminium we used over there. It was easy to cut. Dropped it in there, absolutely perfect, and it's the same size as the pipe. So once it goes through the floor, doesn't matter how much it vibrates, it'll be rubber against plastic. Okay, so we've got the in and the out, but the out's going to be going into this, which is going to sit high up somewhere. But until the unit goes in, I won't be able to plumb this in. So this one that's gone out will come into here and then go back out. But I kind of needed those in that place so we could drill the holes. So that we can at least get the hot water system set up. But that will be added in afterwards when the seating goes in. Because it's off a car, and on a car hose pipes are all Jubilee clipped. There's no real pressure in this system. On a car, these operate roughly 100 degrees Celsius. They can go up to 120. That's what the pressure cap's for. As it gets hotter, if it exceeds 15 psi of relief out the cap. This normally hot water at home would be at 65 degrees. So it's not going to get anywhere near that to release or build up any pressure. But I need volume of water, so I've got enough water to use to heat up the element. We were just discussing it. I don't think there's going to be enough water because that's going to heat up really, really quickly because it's such a small amount. So we'll try it, but I may need either another one of these or a separate water tank. So I've got volume of water to heat up, so it continuously heats up the water that's inside the tank. Otherwise, as soon as that gets up to the preset temperature, the heater works up to 85 degrees. You'd want it running higher than 65 because the water's going to be drawing heat out of that. So you want it to be hotter than the water that you're heating. So the maximum that will run out is 85 degrees. But again, it shouldn't create too much pressure in here. But it might not be enough volume of water because it'll heat it up very, very quickly and switch itself off. And then it'll cool down and then it'll start again. So I don't want to go through that start-stop cycle. I want it just to continuously work. Frank suggested we put a thermostat in here. So if the water exceeds the predetermined temperature we want in here, the maximum you'd want is 65. I'll probably set this to 60. And then we have another safety feature to switch the heater off if the water temperature gets too hot in the tank. It's all trial and error. It's new to us. If you're watching, it's probably new to you as well. So we'll see how it works out. So we've done a few extra bits off camera. We've covered that wheel arch because this is going to be the clean area. Like I said, we're going to put bedding and stuff in there. Wheel arch is done. We've insulated the floor. I didn't put the sticky foam down. I've put proper insulation down there because depending on what we put in there, I prefer it was insulated than not. I've carried on a bit more with the insulation. The cavities are filled in as well. We had some plywood from this van when we took the plywood off the sides. So we've utilised it, we've covered it. So that's going to be the floor bit for the clean area. We'll probably have similar on the other side as well. Where's the cover that goes on there? So this is what we covered earlier. It's going to go into that corner. So you can see it's starting to be quite a clean, tidy area now where we can use that for bedding and all sorts. So this is where we got to last night. We finished felting the corner up to the edge there. Left the rubber loose so we can carry on. I've punched the holes in through the fabric there so we can gain access to the light. I'm going to cut this hole out as well because there's another bolt to undo the light fixing from here, so that has to be cut out. We've got the plastic trim going up here. This is for a cigarette lighter, which is here. Not so much for a cigarette, but it's got that outlet to it. But that's going to sit underneath where the unit goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole higher up and then move this up so we've got access to it when we're sitting on top of the seating area. This plastic also needs to be cut in half. That's somewhere along the lines because once we've got our seating area going across here, we won't be able to remove this to gain access to the fixings. So this will have to be cut somewhere along the way so we have access to the top and the bottom. We got the electrical socket in, so that's done. That still needs to be insulated. We're going to use the bits we made here to make a template for that side. We've got the pipes into the ground. We're going to have to address that as well today. So the units we're getting are a very light grey. So it's light grey matte. The reason I've gone so light is because it's going to get really dark in here by the time we get the rest of this felt on. So I wanted some contrasting lighter colours to brighten the area up. So that's the colour that the units are going to be. Also, I put into B&Q to do a matching service. I've matched that paint, got it mixed up. We're going to paint the inside of this area with that paint so it contrasts the rest of the cabin. I've got my paint sprayer from home, so we'll use that to paint in there. I've just popped into the local plumbers, got some more bits and pieces because we were quite low on elbows and inserts for the hose. So we're kind of getting there. I'm hoping Every's going to turn up with this insulation padding today, because they said they were supposed to turn up yesterday, but they didn't. So Frank's just covering the panel on the other side. A little panel we removed from up top here has just been covered as well. That goes up in that corner. That needs to be cut out. Got my mate Steve coming down as well today, so I've got Frank and Steve helping out. So we should make good progress on this today. I'm also going to felt the back in here, so when we're in there, the whole space in there will be similar to that. Now that the covering's going on, it's starting to feel more like a motorhome now. Okay, let's get on with this painting. So I'm going to drag this over there somewhere, quiet, maybe even next door because there's a bit more room, and then paint that quietly. So there we go, painted. Did one coat, sanded it down. I filled in the nail holes with decorator's caulk and repainted it. I had to swap guns. The first gun I used was really struggling to spray the paints. It was too thick, that one. I had to use the other gun I had. So let's put a good even coat on there. It's reasonably dry, I can touch it, but it's sunny outside. So I'm going to put it out there just to let it cure a bit better in the sun. Okay, right, so I've got Steve putting some Sikaflex on the roof beams. None of them have come loose, but if they do come loose in the future, it's going to vibrate. We have solar panels on there, so if the wind hits those and they come adrift, it's going to be an absolute noisy nightmare. Right, so we've felted this corner now. We're just cutting these patches out. We haven't cut all of them out on this one, only the ones that will require access to the light. But the electrics are going to be on this side, and I need to have access through every single hole here so I can put the electrics through the top and over to where the fuse box is going to be. Just on the floor, so that's matching the other side. We've got these grill vents here, this one. Same on that side. Ironically, this goes in between the two grills, so we're going to have to cut a hole in the panel on this one. So we're going to have to put a hole in it somewhere so the electrics can go through. It looks like it's coming to about this point here. Right guys, we're kind of rushing through this now, having a bit of trouble trying to get the video in. There's 3 of us running around, in and out. I've got the insulation in the sides. We left the tops open, so I want to start getting some of this cabling in. The power lead that was coming in, we've put that for a conduit, so that's kind of done, ready for the wall panel to go on. I've run a cable in down for the fridge, so I've marked it with a piece of tape, fridge, so we know what's happening. Now I'm going to start putting some cables through the sides. I'm going to go for that top cavity and down. The original cable has got this conduit in there. That conduit is 20mm. I've just gone and got some 25mm conduit, which is there, slightly bigger. We've also got these battens. The roofing guys across the road, I just ran over there and got some. Thankfully they were in. That's going to go onto the roof panels up there. So they're going to go up to these lower beams. I've got some self-drilling screws to go in there. We've got to be very careful not to go out the other side of the roof. We're kind of getting somewhere. Everything is taking time. You know, we have to do measure, cut, plan, replan. So now this top insulation's in. I'm going to run the 12 volts down here, and then we're probably going to have some 240 sockets here because this is the kitchen area. 240 I'm going to run up to the higher point and then come down, so we're going to have the sockets in the wall panel there. So not going to mix 12 and 240 together. I'm going to separate those. This side where the cables are going to go, you can see I've opened all the holes up so I can start feeding stuff through. This side I've only cut open the necessary holes to get to that light panel. We can still access the light here, but I've also opened bits so we can get cable in and conduit through. We're going to kind of follow this line. You can see where the conduit's gone through over the top. The shower's going to be here, so it will be under that window and round, and because we've got a conduit, if we ever need to put anything else in there we can. We're going to start putting these battens up now. I had to shoot over to Tool Station to get those special screws so we can screw up there. Got to be really careful because we've got about 10mm of leeway there not to go through the roof. We've also got one of the solar panels down because we're doing some measuring. It's going to be pretty tight up there. These are quite big panels. By the time we stick the fixings on, it's coming up quite wide. Don't have to use these, but I bought them specifically for this. I can make smaller brackets to go on there. I mean, no one's going to see up there, but whilst you've got these neat fixings, it'd be pointless not to use them. So I can't really see up there. We haven't gone up there to see the size and test it, but my forklift's buried over there. I've got like 10 bikes on the way to try and get that out. I'm not too fussed about getting that on at the moment because it's not going to help me in any way for next weekend because we're doing our bike trip. But I do want that van insulated. All the panelling we put on will be screwed or clipped on, which means we can always take it off again later to gain access to the areas where we need to get wiring in, plumbing in, or whatever we need to do. I'm probably going to have my plumbing go under the van and then back into the places they want to be, as opposed to through the van. But like I said, my plans always change. But as of right now, you saw we put the 2 holes in the ground there for the heat exchanger pipes. So I think it'd be crazy not to follow underneath and just use the underside and then put the pipes where we need them to be. Anyway, next thing is battens up. Jesus, oh, these are crappy ones. Stupid. You check that? Fuck everything. So So it's Sunday, it's the next day now. I'm on my own. I'll show you where we got to last night with Steve and Frank. So timbers are in the roof, got the insulation on. We left this corner clear for the minute because we had to stick another batten in the back there, where we marked it out using a piece of timber all the way across so we could get the lines. We've bowed that timber in there. It was too tall sideways, and to be fair, we didn't need it to go all the way to the top anyway. We just need something to screw into when we put the roof lining on. We've left the top cavities open at the moment on both sides because we were going to run some electrics through there. This is the original electrics. We were going to follow that path, but then as we got to the window here, you can see the original conduit has to go up and over because there's no hole here. So instead of following that and going up, so we've got our own conduit. We've gone up all the way through to the top from down there, and the electrics are going to be somewhere in that corner. I had to cut all those open because of this rear camera here. We needed to find some electrics for that to power it up. So I used this charger socket here, which was already available to us. But for us to get the cable down, I had to cut all these so we can put our hand through. Because if you try and push the cable down through here, it doesn't quite come through all the way because we've got this plate. So I had to go around the back so we could feed it through. So there's no fuse on this line up to the camera because this plug itself is already fused back to the fuse box. I wanted to make sure that the camera works. We've run all the electrics up through. The rear camera's there. We know that works. I just need to get it mounted onto the screen and run some of those cables over to the top and join it to that. I've already put my fridge cable in there. We just need to get some 240 cable, run it down so we can have some sockets there. I'll have to insulate the roof further down. I've still got to put a few more screws into this one. This is a shower door which was in the way. I just need to get this area done so that I need somewhere to sleep, so this area needs to be done. As you can see, we're making good progress, but every small thing like felting this, cutting pieces up, putting the battens up, trying to think of how we're going to do it. You know, there's no real plan or instructions for stuff like this. We've still got the fan up there, which we fitted last year. That still needs to be wired in somewhere. So the reason I've got the electrics coming over here is when we have the wall for the shower, it's going to be a cavity, and all the fuses and the fuse box is going to be here for some of the functions, and then the rest will be fused underneath here for other functions. For example, the hot water system, I can run that to a different fuse box. The hot air system, I can run that to a different fuse box. Fridge will run to this fuse box. Lighting and other bits will go to the other fuse box. So this is the original lighting that clips into the side there. That's going to disappear naturally when we build the shower room. And there's one up here which I've taken out as well. Now they're not going to be blocked off, they're going to be utilised. As you open the back door or the side door, that lights up, which is great for in here. But this also has on and off rocker switch, so you can have them on permanently, off. So when you open the van door, that will light up the inside, and then we have the function for it to be turned on and turned off. And secondly, if you do leave your doors open, they'll automatically switched off because it's part of the car, so that has a timer on it. We still need electrics to go into the roof. We're going to have spotlights in the corner. We're going to have reading lights with USB chargers, and then there'll be spotlights, you know, throughout. That'll probably be switched, probably on the side here. As you walk in, you can switch it on and off. There's a lot to take in. There's no real plan. It's just everything's off the cuff. We just work forwards and see where we where we stumble, where we can make good progress, good ideas. When you've got three heads, you know, you've got mates working with you. Steve does electrical stuff like this all the time. He does CCTV and aerials and stuff. So he's given me some of this cable feeder. It's a thick one here. It's a thinner one here he's given me. And he was talking about this pulling butter, which we took the pee out of him about it, but yeah, it's a real thing. So if you lube your cables up with that, it'll pull it straight through. Before I put this panelling on, I'm gonna put some cables through this. Probably put about 6 or 7 through it. So we've got some cables over there, but I need to mark them, either 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, whatever I'm going to use, so that we know when we're fusing this side or feeding it to something, we know what it's going to over there. I'm probably going to cut it here. We'll move on to the next bit over the weekend. As for now, if you like the show so far, hit like, subscribe, bell notification. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.